Attack of the Minivengers by Loki-dokey. Read by Voltage Sama. Chapter 2. Tiny People. Coulson hands Loki a tissue. Thank you, Loki says begrudgingly, and he empties his nostrils into it noisily. So, yeah, that's what went down. The whole shebang. Tony rubs his eyes, infuriated. And Loki's the only one who kept an adult head on his shoulders? Obviously. The three of them all cast their eyes over to the 5 tiny heroes who have been imprisoned in the holding cell for the flight back to the tower. Thor has his finger up his own nostril, and Clint is trying, but failing, to climb the glass wall. Bruce is sulking in the corner, and Steve is sitting beside him, patting his knee. Tasha has her arms crossed, and she's glaring at Tony, who recoils a little at her sternness. Could kids even look sternly at things? Fury is going to explode, Coulson sighs. Absolutely explode. At least we got Loki? The aforementioned sits up. Don't think for a second that you're containing me. After my magic has come back, I will break free of your tower and return to causing havoc across your city. If you keep talking like that, we will bind you to a bed for the entire time you're on our premises. Pfft, Loki grumbles, but slumps back into his seat, defeated. Oh, hell no, are the first words to come blaring from Nick Fury's mouth when he sets his eyes upon the group of children and Tony, who is now free of his suit. Steve is clinging to Tony's leg, hands all bunched up in the denim, and Thor had literally climbed Tony's body and was now perched on his shoulders, waving a miniature Mjolnir about, making Tony incredibly nervous for his own well-being. I apologize sincerely, Loki explains, running a hand through his hair. Really, I do, and I don't say that often, but honestly, this is a damn nuisance for a situation for us all, and for myself, personally, this is utterly degrading. You're a tiny person, Fury breathes in disbelief, bending down to examine the god. Loki backs away indignantly. I'd rather you not... Oh, what's the phrase you made Guardians use? Get all up in my face, director. Fury steps away and folds his arms. He stares at Tony. We have to wait until this kid's magic returns, till we actually have a response team again? What if serious shit goes down? We have no one! You have me, Tony points out. Fury looks appalled. Yeah, we have you, but you're just Iron Man. What if an alien race comes and declares war again? You ain't worth shit alone then. Ouch, that's a bit harsh, Loki evaluates. Tony is stung. Well, he sniffs. Fuck you, Mr. Fury. You know it's true. Face the facts. We're knee-deep in baby poop here. We'll deal with it. Yeah, you will. If there's nothing anyone can do but Loki to bring our team back, then I'm leaving this mess of a situation down to you and him. The kids are your responsibility. Think of it as a learning curve for the future. You want kids one day, right? Well, here's some practice. Fury stalks out of the door, leaving Tony gobsmacked. Well, doesn't his presence alleviate the atmosphere? I feel as though all light has been drained from the room on his leaving. Loki drolls sarcastically. When Tony doesn't reply, Loki spins on his heel. The genius playboy is open-mouthed and still, staring at the door where Fury had just exited the room. Stark, I'm afraid my brother has drooled upon your head. I'm hungry, Clint says, tugging at Tony's shirt. That big, scary man was scary, Tasha blubs. It's okay. Steve comforts her with a hug. He kisses her cheek, but she pushes him away. Ew! Gross! Steve frowns. It was only a kiss. Kisses? Oh, disgusting! Loki grins. Have fun with them! Tony finally manages to gain clarity in his thoughts. Oh, don't worry. We will. We? Just because you're small doesn't mean you're not going to help me out. Loki goes to run away, but Tony scoops him up and throws him over his shoulder in a fireman's carry. Thor has jumped down and is laughing at Loki. Brother, you do look silly up there. Put me down this instant! This is preposterous, Stark. I will not help you with this madness. You're the one who caused it all, so shut the hell up. Exactly. It surprises even Tony how quickly the spare floor of the Avengers towers transformed into a space that most 4-year-olds would class as heaven on earth. The video games from the rec room upstairs have been brought down, along with the TV. Sofas and toys and the like fill the new rec room as well. Beds are brought in for them, all to sleep in the same room, which is just down the hall, and another larger bed is dragged into the room nearby, which is apparently going to be Tony's room for the amount of time that his teammates are minuscule. He fights for his rights to hire a nanny, but Fury is adamant and very much prone to blackmailing, so Tony slouches against the wall, giving evils to every passing agent. Loki runs out of the kid's room. I am sorry, but there is no way I'm sleeping in there with that lot. I'm not a child. But Loki, technically you are. Shut up, Stark! The god snaps. I refuse to reside in a room where flatulence is acceptable and even deemed humorous. Oh, come on. You seriously can't be that uptight. Farts are funny. Not when they reek like that. Who was it? Button. Who else? Disgusting, abominable cretin. I demand my own chambers. Dude, what? Chambers? Really? Tony sighs. Oh, we can probably fix you up a room. Loki breathes a sigh of relief. Thank you. He sneezes. Ugh. Snot is hanging from his nose like a thread. That's nasty. It is rather, isn't it? So rather than just standing there, it would be very good of you to get me a tissue, wouldn't it? Evening draws in, and Tony wishes wholeheartedly that Pepper would get back from her meeting in San Francisco already, so she can help him with his kitty issue. Clint is tearing about the rec room, arms outstretched and making airplane noises. Steve is using a pillow as a pretend shield and using his hands as pretend guns. Wah! Clint cries, and makes machine gun sounds at Steve, who rolls out of the way. Bruce is curled up on the sofa, eyes glued to the Little Mermaid, and Tasha is sitting happily beside him, playing absent-mindedly with his thick, curly hair. Thor, unfortunately, has found the arts and crafts closet. When did they have time to add an arts and crafts closet? Tony thinks. He rolls his head around from making coffee in the attached kitchen to watch as Thor begins to paint the walls with purple. Serves you right, Fury. Loki's cold has somehow grown progressively worse throughout the day, and now he's wrapped in a thick blanket and looking very sorry for himself. He's at the table with a cup of hot cocoa in his hands. Drink up, Tony urges. You'll feel better. Loki's eyes brim with tears. My throat hurts. Tony can't quite get past the fact that this kid was once a guy who made it his mission to make his life a living hell. Though, after all the opportunities Loki had to kill him, he never did, so in a way, Tony's thankful for that. It's probably due to all that coughing you've been doing. I asked Coulson to bring you some medicine. That should make you feel better. You have? Yeah. Why do you act like you care about me, Stark? Because I want you to get better as soon as possible so you can fix my friends? No other sentimentality there? Nope. Tony tries to hide his smile. Loki doesn't even bother hiding his. The sound coming from Loki's room is horrifying. A while ago, Tony was ready to punch the kid in the face because he wasn't letting Tony get any shut-eye, but now it's gotten to the point where the amount of coughing sounds downright sounded dangerous. Groaning, Tony slips out of bed and crosses the hall. He opens Loki's door and peers inside. The god of mischief is sitting on his bed, sweating profusely. He coughs again, long and loud and painful, and then flumps back down, only to sit back up seconds later and repeat the process all over again. Quietly, Tony closes the door. He jogs down the hallway and takes the elevator up to his usual room. Crossing over to the bathroom, he digs through his cabinet until he finds what he came for, and not soon after he's re-entering Loki's room just as the boy begins coughing again. Tony walks over and sits on the bed, rubbing Loki's back soothingly because no matter how evil he may have been, and probably still is, Loki's only a kid now, with no magic to help him or defend him. Eventually, Loki stops coughing. Stark, he croaks. Tony corrects. I brought you something that might help with the cough. It's about time, Loki mutters. You better rethink your attitude or you're not getting any of my sympathy. Loki falls silent for a second and actually looks apologetic. What is it? Vapo Rub. Tony holds it out to Loki, who takes it and peers at the labeling. It says I must smother it on my chest and throat. Yep. How does that help me? Tony shrugs. It just does? Loki unscrews the lid and begins applying it to his chest. He looks relieved in almost an instant. This is marvelous, he chirps. What did I tell you? Don't forget the little pocket in your throat. I'm sorry? Here. Tony points to the dip where Loki's collarbones meet. I put it in there. Don't know why, I always have. Ritual, I guess. Loki obeys and then coughs a little, but hardly as much as before. My throat still hurts terribly. That's why I brought you these, too. Loki takes the packet. What are these? Lozenges. They'll soothe your throat. Don't eat too many, I know they taste good. Popping one in his mouth, Loki sucks on it and grins. I may not hold you to that, Stark. These are delicious. I told you to call me Tony. Perhaps someday, Stark, but today's not that day. You seem to view us as acquaintances, but I'm afraid that is not so. You don't understand that the moment my magic is revived, I will return to my old ways. I'm merely using you and your resources to aid me through my illness and healing. Tony smirks. I know you are. But what's wrong with acting like we're acquaintances? That'd make this situation a hell of a lot easier. Loki crunches the lozenge with his teeth, cocking his head to one side and visibly thinking. I suppose it may make this all the less tedious. Well, I must thank you graciously for your help. I will see you in the morning. Good night, Loki. Tony chuckles, opening the door. Sleep well, Tony, is the last thing Tony hears before the door closes with a soft click.